And you will know my name is the Lord.
I am God.
Damn you all!
Here we are again. We're back in gray. Welcome one, welcome all to the home of the periodic strange noises in the background because Junkshop is bad with technology. Welcome to the Junkshop Library channel, where an angry atheist takes a look at angry holy texts. Word by word, verse by verse, line by line, and yard by yard. That sounds appealing to you. By all means, stick around, hit that thumbs up button, consider subscribing if you're not subscribed already. We turn today to the Book of Mormon after a lengthy hiatus. A lengthy, much deserved, and very necessary hiatus in the life of the channel, because old Junkshop was running right low on spoons and was starting to have trouble climbing back in front of the camera. This stream, like 99% of the other streams on the channel, is absolutely, positively, under no circumstances whatsoever appropriate for children or the easily offended. Old Junkshop is cranky. The book is terrible, full of outdated nonsense that was gross, racist, and misogynistic even at the time it was written. Whether you believe that to be 2,000 years ago or 200 years ago, it's still bad. It was bad then. It's bad now, and we spare no one and nothing. No mercy, no quarter. You have been warned. I mentioned that not for children thing, right? Good. Because I'm not in the mood for this nonsense. But the people have spoken. And what the people speak, we here in the library do our best to oblige. In a special and particular, this stream and the many others like it on the channel would not be possible without the ongoing support of my wonderful Patreon patrons, seen now scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And old Junkshop finally, after 2.5 years, was able to do the gesture in the correct direction. Imagine, if you will. These folks who have supported the channel, some of them for a significant percentage of its lifespan, have helped the channel out during a truly disturbing period of time in the library of late. And I just flat fucking can't thank them enough. In a special and particular, I got to shout out my highest level patron, my genuine calfskin level supporter, the one and only infamous atheist activist, pilot, and flat earth debunker, the one and only Mr. Paul Camish. Paul has been here supporting the channel on Patreon and beyond damn near since the beginning. And it means the absolute world, my friend. Thank you. If you didn't catch Paul on Modern Day Debate last night, you missed a shit show of truly spectacular proportions. Nobody told me Flat Earth Aussie Jesus was going to be in the midst of that. It was spectacular. And regardless of whether you get along with James or not, it was well worth watching. I see the chat beginning to fill up. We've got fantastic people here, all sorts of people, such a variety of people. Thank you all for coming to join me today, whether you're watching here live or watching at some point in the future. We've been a little unpredictable on the channel of late, and I acknowledge and own that. So it means all the more that y'all have come back on absolutely no fucking notice whatsoever to hang out with me. Thank y'all. I do not, in fact, have tea this evening. The Book of Mormon calls for something stronger. It actually calls for something a hell of a lot stronger than beer, but I want to be intelligible by the time the end of the stream rolls around. Have I blathered on long enough to scare off anybody who's not already here for the madness? I think I have. I think it's time that I figure out where in God's green hair I put my glasses this time. There they are. And turn to the ever-loving word of the motherfucking Lord. It's starting to ache. I got my first badge of honor, y'all. I got myself my first dose of the Pfizer today. It's starting to hurt. So worth it. So worth it. If you can, get it. If you can't, find out why. And remember, it's free. Seriously. Like 100%. No hidden fees, no strings attached. It's amazing. You wouldn't believe the reception I get. Not that you can likely tell from looking at the stream, because I know how old Junkshop's Wi-Fi is, but what I get in my brain now? Ooh, dalali. Anyway, chapter 11 of the book of 2nd Nephi, in the Book of Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ, the most racist fan fiction ever created. And if you've read as much fan fiction as I have, you know that's going some. Chapter 11. Jacob saw his Redeemer. The law of Moses typifies Christ and proves he shall come. Okay. My Patreon patrons have heard me wax eloquent about this many times as we have journeyed through the Catholic Catechism together over the course of the last 8 months or so. But I'm going to say it again. One thing I find spectacularly tedious in these wise after the fact sorts of books, like the Catechism, like the Book of Mormon, like entirely too many things, is this fixation on insisting that the Old Testament prefigure the New and the New Testament prefigure the modern age. Any little belch and fart in the Old Testament is held up as an instance of the divine wind in the New, which is then held up as emblematic and prefiguring of the breath of God in the modern lung. It's tedious, it's stupid, and worst of all, it's a hell of a stretch. I mentioned the whole angry atheist thing, right? Well, y'all, there's a time and a place. If y'all want reasoned and deliberate discussions of modern humanistic values in a predominantly religious world, there are places you can go. This ain't one of them. I'm cranky. I was traumatized early and often by Christianity. And my queer ass ain't finding it any easier to live in an increasingly aggressively Christian country as time goes on. And I rail about it. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. Some things don't change. The law of Moses typifies Christ and proves he shall come. And now Jacob spake many more things to my people at that time. Nevertheless, only these things have I caused to be written, for the things which I have written sufficeth me. And now I, Nephi, write more of the words of Isaiah, for my, God help us, more Isaiah. For my soul delighteth in his words. For I will liken his words unto my people, and I will send them forth unto all my children, for verily he saw my Redeemer, even as I have seen him. And my brother, Jacob, also has seen him as I have seen him. Wherefore I will send their words forth unto my children, to prove unto them that my words are true. Wherefore, by the words of three, God hath said, I will establish my word. Nevertheless, God sendeth more witnesses, and he proveth all his words. Behold, my soul delighteth in proving unto my people the truth of the coming of Christ. For this end hath the law of Moses been given, and all things which have been given of God from the beginning of the world unto man are the typifying of him. And also my soul delighteth in the covenants of the Lord, which he hath made to our fathers. Yea, my soul delighteth in his grace, and in his justice, and power, and mercy, and the great and eternal plan of deliverance from death. And my soul delighteth in proving unto my people that save Christ should come, all men must perish. For if there be no Christ, there be no God. And if there be no God, we are not, for there could have been no creation. But there is a God, and he is Christ, and he cometh in the fullness of his own time. And now I write some of the words of Isaiah, that whoso of my people shall see these words may lift up their hearts and rejoice for all men. Now these are the words, and ye may liken them unto you, and unto all men. And there we have the not even a little bit self-aggrandizing 11th chapter of the second book of Nephi. Long fucking intro. Useless, pointless, tedious. Did I mention pointless? Why in the almighty hell is that chapter in there? Holy book writers, get yourselves a fucking editor. God almighty, this is tedious. This is just as tedious as I had remembered. Seemed like a good idea at the time when I started this. Give myself a big ol' aneurysm. Or better yet, give somebody else one. Y'all, Holy Writ is not all it's cracked up to be. I don't know if watching this you were raised like I was, full of the fire of the Spirit and the love of his word. But some of us were raised on a pretty steady diet of the blood of the Lamb and the voice of the shepherd and the love of the Creator for his fallen and broken and just generally wretched and terrible creation and all that shit. As a result of which, we were raised on a pretty steady diet of Psalms, a little bit of Proverbs, some Genesis, a smattering of Exodus, a whole bunch of Luke, and a big fucking shit show of Pauline doctrine. Other than the blatant and shrieking racism, there's not a lot new in this book to me. It's legit some terrible, terrible fan fiction, badly written. And I can say that honestly and truly, and from the perspective of someone who has read every single word of the entire 50 Shades trilogy. There's fan fiction, there's shitty fan fiction, there's 50 Shades, and then down at the bottom of the barrel where the dead men go, there's the Book of Mormon. People worship this thing. People loved it. How? Have they read it? Like, seriously, I want to know. If you've somehow made it this far into this, and you're actually one of these people of the book, of this book in particular, why? Let me know in the comments below. I do engage with the comments. Let me know what it is in this that you actually like. What speaks to you? Because so far, ain't none of this spoke to me. I worship chocolate, says Nevermore. Well, at least you finally found something worth worshiping, my friend. Okay, so chapter 11 was just a preamble to the fact that he's going to paraphrase and regurgitate some words of Isaiah the prophet. If you're interested in hearing what I have to say about the words of Isaiah the prophet, pulling no more punches than I have so far with the Book of Mormon, the playlist is on the channel. We're working our way through the Bible as well as the Book of Mormon, and we're lost somewhere in the bowels of Ezekiel right now after almost 2.5 years. Wasn't that smooth? Did you like how I did that? Got to plug, got to shill, got to play the game. It's YouTube. We do what we do. Chapter 12. Isaiah sees the latter-day temple, gathering of Israel, and millennial judgment and peace. The proud and wicked shall be brought low at the second coming. Compare Isaiah 2. So if you're following along at home and you want to do some comparative reading, you can turn to the 2nd chapter of the book of Isaiah. Fuck that noise as far as I'm concerned, but some of you people are masochistic enough to do that. More power to you. We don't kink shame here. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amoz, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days, when the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many peoples, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. O house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord. Yea, come, for ye have all gone astray, every one to his wicked ways. Therefore, O Lord, thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they replenished from the east, and hearken unto soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. Their land also is full of silver and gold, neither is there any end of their treasures. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots. Their land is also full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, which their own fingers have made. And the mean man boweth not down, and the great man humbleth himself not. Therefore, forgive him not. O ye wicked ones, enter into the rock, and hide thee in the dust, for the fear of the Lord and the glory of his majesty shall smite thee. And it shall come to pass that the lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of the men shall be bowed down, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. For the day of the Lord of hosts soon cometh upon all nations, yea, upon every one, and upon every one who is lifted up, yea, upon the proud and lofty, and he shall be brought low. Yea, and the day of the Lord shall come upon all the cedars of Lebanon, for they are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills, and upon all the nations which are lifted up, and upon every people, and upon every high tower, and upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of the sea, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pictures. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. And the idols he shall utterly abolish. And they shall go into the holes of the rocks, and into the caves of the earth, for the fear of the Lord shall come upon them, and the glory of his majesty shall smite them when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. In that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which he hath made for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats, to go into the clefts of the rocks, and into the tops of the ragged rocks. For the fear of the Lord shall come upon them, and the majesty of his glory shall smite them, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of? And there we've the ever so slightly bombastic 12th chapter of the book of 2nd Nephi, ripped in some places literal word for word from the 2nd chapter of the book of Isaiah in the King James Version of 1611. At least we finally got some smiting. It's been a while. It's been a minute. A, since we congregated here together, and B, since we had any smiting. We had slaughter weapons over in Ezekiel, but precious little smiting the last little while. It's good to be home. All right, so what did we learn on the show tonight, Craig? Nothing. Absolutely goddamn motherfucking fuck all did we learn, because this is just More of the goddamn same. Someday, God's going to rise up in anger and indignation and just general goditude, smite the unbeliever, and cause everyone to throw their idols away, because God is a jealous God and won't tolerate you sucking up to nobody else. I mean, in fairness, he will tolerate it. He'll tolerate it for a long goddamn time. He'll tolerate it for generations on end. But eventually he gets fed up and decides to smite everybody, whether or not they knew better or not. Because he wants you to be psychic. Except not really, because he's against psychics, because that's witchcraft, which draws its power from the other gods that don't exist, because you need to worship him alone, above and before anybody else who doesn't exist to begin with, which you're not allowed to worship because they're fake. I've done some worshiping in my day, and let me tell you from the voice of experience, from my high mountain of knowledge, that the most fun kind is not the kind of worship that involves deity. See you over there, nevermore. All right, so here's my question. Don't this man got nothing better to do with his time? Because he's literally just plagiarizing now. He has flat fucking run out of ideas, and he started copying down extant known, well-known passages of scripture. Beat their swords into plowshares. If you were ever raised within fucking spitting distance of most denominations of Christian church, you know that verse. You might not be able to cite it word for word. You might not be able to call out that it came from the 2nd chapter of Isaiah. I myself certainly could not have done. But nation shall not rise up against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. All that mess, the great and grand and very agrarian final days of the world in the reign of the Lord. Some of y'all were raised having that shit beaten into you, literally or figuratively. No comment. All right, so we've graduated, we have, from loose and at times mildly interesting and or amusing plagiarism to just straight out copying down. I mean, there's plagiarism, and then there's just lazy fucking copying. What I don't understand about the just plain lazy fucking copying aspect of this mess, this fucking mess in particular, is that this was written during an era when you were taught like word for word scripture. Just average Joe Blow on the street could recite vast chunks of Holy Writ. Tom, Dick, and Harry knew the Bible like the back of their hand. I might understand it a little better were it to happen today, because we've largely moved away from that approach to education in most of modern Western first world society, which is all I can speak to. But I mean, these days, Tom, Dick, and Harry, Joe Blow on the street does not have entire chapters of scripture ready to roll trippingly off of his tongue. So I could understand it a little more if this thing had been cranked out now. 1830? Bitch, please. How does he think he's going to... I mean, manifestly he did. He got away with it. People are still... I mean, this is still in print. This is not some fabled antique from the days of yore that I'm reading from. This was brand new when it was given to me in college by a only somewhat-ish practicing Buddhist who got tired of using it as a coffee coaster. You can't make this shit up. Again, if you've somehow gotten this far into this video and you are a person of the book, this book in particular, let me know. Stir shit up, y'all. What is it here that speaks to you? Because I'm not seeing it. At least with the Bible, I kind of get. I don't get it with the Catholic Catechism one goddamn whit. But I kind of get it with the Bible. Parts of it. Parts of it are very poetic, very catchy. It's got some fun little stories in it. This one, the only fun little story we've had so far is when Nephi went all creepsy and tricksy back into Jerusalem and chopped off the dude's head and took all his clothes and went sneaking into the treasure house like Assassin's Creed. That was great fun. That was a long time ago. A long time ago, they say. We ain't never going to finish this fucking thing, are we?
Not if you don't get back on something approximating a reasonable schedule, Junkshop.
I know. All right, so Isaiah. You reckon we're done with that? You reckon he's going to come up with something original? Ha, ha, ha. Chapter 13. You're not particularly late, Granny. You ain't missed nothing. Judah and Jerusalem shall be punished for their disobedience. The Lord pleads for and judges his people. The daughters of Zion are cursed and tormented for their worldliness. Compare Isaiah 3. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole staff of bread and the whole stay of water, the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet and the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50 and the honorable man and the counselor and the cunning artificer and the eloquent orator. And I will give children unto them to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, and shall say, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let not this ruin come under thy hand. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be a healer, for in my house there is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongues and their doings have been against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory. The show of their countenance doth witness against them, and doth declare their sin to be even as Sodom, and they cannot hide it. Woe unto their souls, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Say unto the righteous that it is well with them, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, for they shall perish, for the reward of their hands shall be upon them. And my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they who lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. The Lord standeth up to plead, and standeth to judge the people. The Lord will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people, and the princes thereof. For ye have eaten up the vineyard, and the spoil of the poor in your houses. What mean ye? Ye beat my people to pieces, and grind the faces of the poor, saith the Lord God of hosts. Moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. In that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments, and calls, and round tires like the moon, the chains and the bracelets, and the mufflers, the bonnets, and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands, and the tablets, and the earrings, the rings and nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles, and the wimples, and the crisping pins, the glasses, and the fine linen, and hoods, and the veils. And it shall come to pass, instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of well-set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, burning instead of beauty. Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and she shall be desolate, and shall sit upon the ground. Well, here I was letting myself think that it was just going to be more of the same of the more, and lo and behold, it gets worse. Just when you think a holy text can't get any shittier, here comes some prophet with misogyny. Women shall rule over them, and God will come to their daughters and take away all their pretty shit. You know, most of y'all know me a little by now. Well enough at least to know that I like my figures of speech and my metaphors. Hey, Linda. But you can wear them out. And this book and its predecessor have long gone since, many chapters ago, worn out the welcome of the wayward nation as a wanton woman metaphor. It was tacky the first time. Now, it's just emblematic of the blinding levels of misogyny endemic to these religions. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. It fucking is. We're up to our eyeballs in it, and we're only 83 pages in. Not counting the back matter, this book is... Wow, there's a lot of back matter. This isn't as bad as I was afraid it was. Well, 531 pages, but all this... That's all back matter, indices and glossaries and various other eases. Why are people like this? I'm not saying all people are like this. I'm not saying all religious people are like this. I'm not saying all anything are anything. But people, writ large, why are there people who are like this? People make me tired, y'all. There's so much. Life is short. So terrifyingly short. And people want to spend it like this, thinking like this. This is bad stuff. This is mean-spirited, closed-minded. This is, I mean, I said it before, I'll say it again, doubtless. I mean, but this was not exactly progressive thought by the standards of the time, and the time was 1830. I'm not here to say all religions are equally bad. Most of y'all know this about me by now. There's some I just don't too terribly much give a flying fuck about. Because they're not running around blowing shit up, and they're not running around trying to stuff this down people's throat like it's the magazine from Alien. But some religions are frighteningly toxic. And this is one of them. And they can howl at me that it's figures of speech, that it's ways of thought from the time, that it's got to be, that it can't be read through a modern lens. And I say, well, go fuck yourself with that. Then why do you care? If we can't view it through a modern lens, how far back do we have to go to find a lens through which it's acceptable to view it? Seems like every time things start going a little okay, somebody with their head so far up their own ass they can peek out from over their own molars comes along with an idea to remake society in the eyes of whatever fairy they're worshiping. Fairy, wizard, Sky Daddy, pick your obnoxious atheist figure of speech. I'm a little bent out of shape right now because of some of the legislation that's being enacted or trying to be enacted all over the fucking country, and particularly in the South, that targets a broad swath of the queer community and the trans community in general. If you don't know what I'm talking about, A, you need to read the news more, and B, you need to go and make sure you're subscribed to Cyrus the Skeptic's channel and to Godless Grannies, because both of them have taken on some of these cartoon-level Bond villain kinds of laws that are being enacted in the name of religion the last little while. With a degree of research and a degree of self-possession and calm that old Junkshop just doesn't have in him. It wouldn't bother me as much if people didn't lap it up with a big fucking spoon. I'm a Lovecraft fan, and an unapologetic one. I understand that you can like a work of literature and still be cognizant of its flaws and of the desperately problematic views of its creator. But I don't try to tell other people they should run their lives according to my favorite book. Probably a good thing, because my favorite book in the whole world happens to be Naked Lunch. And if we all tried to live our lives by that book, there wouldn't be anybody left at the end of about a week and a half. But that aside, fundamentalism of any kind is dangerous. Fundamentalism of the Abrahamic religions is terrifying. And there's more of it every day. It stifles creativity. It breeds hate. And free-minded people everywhere bear a responsibility to stand up against it. If not for your sake, for that of your friends, your neighbors. Maybe you could survive a theocracy. You know people who could not. You do. It is incumbent upon us as free human beings to stand up against this kind of crap whenever it rears its ugly fucking head and tries to use itself to beat people down. It's fun to make fun of it. Lord knows it's fun to make fun of it. But it's dangerous. 14 is short. We're going to do one more chapter. We're going to wrap probably just after the top of the hour and on an even numbered chapter. Chapter 14. Zion and her daughters shall be redeemed and cleansed in the millennial day. Compare Isaiah chapter 4. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. In that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious, the fruit of the earth excellent and comely to them that are escaped of Israel. And it shall come to pass, they that are left in Zion and remain in Jerusalem shall be called holy, every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem, when the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. And the Lord will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion, and upon her assemblies, a cloud and smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night. For upon all the glory of Zion shall be a defense. And there shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime from the heat, and for a place of refuge, and a covert from storm and from rain. And there we have chapter 14. More of the same. Same of the more. When the kingdom of God is visited upon his creation, all that is fallen will be swept away. Any of y'all remember looking forward to that day? When we'd all be clean, we'd all be at peace. We'd all have nothing to do except sit around singing praises of God. Because everything that was not of God would be smitten and washed away off the face of the fucking planet. It's terrifying. I don't want to live in a world like that. Most people, I suspect, do not. Because everybody's idea of perfection is a little bit different. There's more power metal in my idea of heaven than there is of most people's. That kind of thinking will get you in trouble. It'll make you say stupid, intolerant shit. It'll make you think stupid, intolerant shit. And if you're immersed in it long enough, it will make you do stupid, intolerant shit. These books make me tired. I no longer particularly enjoy the slog, if I'm being honest. But I feel a responsibility to continue. Am I crazy? It seems important to me to put it out there how toxic these books are, and to show the receipts. I could just sit here and monologue and say they are toxic. But it's different to know something is a certain way and an entirely different thing to experience it. So we're going to keep going here in the library. Somehow, maybe not with the frequency to which some of you had become accustomed when we were doing this mess 6 or 7 times a week, but we're going to keep going. We're going to keep reading these terrible, terribly toxic, damaging works of Bronze Age fiction. And their 19th century shitty spin-offs. And we're going to keep pointing out the extent, the gleeful extent to which these books go to dehumanize everyone who's not in the fold. And we're going to keep standing up and speaking out against people like Steven Anderson, people like Grayson Fritz, people like apparently the vast majority of the state legislature of Arkansas right now. People who do active harm proudly in the name of religion and in the name of values and perspectives informed by religions. I hope you continue to join me. It's not getting any more fun as we go on. And it's not getting any safer. But I think what we do here is important. And we're going to keep doing it. I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank all of my patrons who continue to contribute even in the face of a schedule that could be best and most charitably described as mercurial. I want to thank you all who are watching here live in the chat. I want to thank you all who are watching in the future. I'm going to stop blathering now. Go have some fun. Enjoy your Saturday. Everybody take care. Everybody be safe. Get your vaccine. And more important than any of that, as we always say here in the library, stand against hate. We'll see y'all again soon. Bye now.